Okay, so hello everyone, good evening. Right, so welcome back to the session. This would be the second session that we'll be taking on Northeast Insurgency Part 2. So, yesterday we had a discussion about some of the important components and we have discussed about three states. So, we will try our best to actually, cover the remaining states and the issues that we have, and we'll try to wind up today the discussion on the Northeast Insurgency. Right? So, just give me 1 minute before we go ahead. So, just confirm me that if everyone can see as well as hear me too. Yes? Okay, very good. Very good. So we will start the discussion now. So basically, yesterday, what are the states that we have discussed? What are the states that we have seen in the Northeast Insurgency? What states have we seen? We have made some kind of a changes, so hope that is good. Right? So just tell me this. Yesterday, what was the thing? What were the states that we have discussed? Yes. So we have started. We have started with respect to the state of. Yes, guys. I'm looking into the comments. We have started with the state of Manipur. Okay. Then, after Manipur, I'm asking about the states that we have discussed. Okay. After Manipur. We have discussed about this particular state. Yes. Mizoram. So we have discussed about Nagaland, one of the very important state of Nagaland, right? Then we have talked about. Seems like you have forgot this a lot, isn't it? So some people says Assam, some people says Mizoram. Yes. Utkash, it's you who actually said both these things. So there is one more state that we have discussed. I'm asking the states that we have already discussed. Okay. Arunachal? Have we discussed Arunachal also? Oh my god. I'll be waiting to know the answer from you. I'm not going to reveal any answer. I'm just asking the state that we have discussed. So just three we have covered, and now itself we are confusing a lot. And if we start this today's sessions and we'll finish the sessions, and how it will be complete, how it would be there. Yes. So by the way, we did not. Yes, we had a discussion about the Mizoram yesterday, right? So now we'll start the discussion with respect to the Meghalaya today. So now, when you talk about the states of the Northeast, basically, one of the very important state which has a very least effect because of the insurgency is Meghalaya. The state of Meghalaya is very less impacted because of the insurgency in the complete northeastern region. But still, there could be some problems here. Yes? So what sort of problems did Meghalaya face? So the problems include there is a great division between the different tribal groups. One tribal group and other tribal group, there have been fightings between these particular groups. That's number one. Point number two, the differences between the tribal and non-tribal settlers. Number two. And then the number three would be about the identity issues. Number four is corruption. And number five, Bangladeshi infiltrators. So when all these things are happening, the local people in the state of Meghalaya have got a feeling, have got an opinion that these people would be impacted. These people would be coming to the minority. That is what they actually have thought. So that's the reason why there has been some issues in the state of Meghalaya. So one such kind of group which has been formed here is nothing but the Garo National Liberation Army. So what does this particular Garo people want? It's a similar kind of an insurgent thing too. But what do they need here is this, that for all the Garos who are present over here, they want a separate Garo land for the Garo people. So this was created in 2009. It has just about 70 members, but they have been doing a lot of things. They have been extorting, they have been attacking, they have been doing the bombings and all. So all of these have been happening. And specifically, now as we go further, we have found a lot of issues in this particular Garo National Liberation Army, and even now you can see them as active group. Even now you can see them as an active group. So basically they do not want to actually get into the insurgency and all, but still because of the insecurity that they have developed among them, that has formed this particular group called Garo National Liberation Army. Then we have other group called Achik National Volunteer Council. They call it as Achik National Volunteer Council. So this group was formed in 1995. So what do they want now? Within the Garo Hills, they want a separate Achik land. So what happened? We did not discuss much about this because they have actually suspended their operations after signing a government, after signing a kind of agreement with the government. Since 2004 they have stopped the operations too. Similarly, we have next council called Hinutrop National Liberation Council. This was formed in 1992. They say that they are the representatives of the people of Khasi and Jaintia tribal people. The tribal people, yes. So these are the tribal people who actually says that these are the representatives of the Khasi and Jaintia tribal people. And the objective, what they say is very clear. They want to free Meghalaya from the dominion of Garos and non-tribal outsiders. And however, they have been doing a lot of activities too. So finally this also got completely banned by the center in 2010. But now, when you talk about this particular Hinutrop National Liberation Council, they are very different here. Why is that so? Because they have started developing the ties with other such kind of organizations in the northeastern part of the country. For example, if you see, the NSEN, that is National Socialist Council of Nagaland, has provided both moral, physical and financial support to this particular group. So this interconnectivity between the groups is also other major issue that we often find here. And moving on to the next one called Garo Hills Liberation Army. So this is a very different group, guys. Generally, if we find any problem, if the common people face any kind of a problem, the common people, what they do, they actually reach out to the police. But here, this Garo Hills Liberation Army was started by those particular people who are the retired police personnel. This group was formed by the retired police personnel and they have started attacking the police and the army personnel in particular. So this is about this particular thing. And as part of that, they went into a lot of things. They have done a lot of kidnapping and ransoms. So it has become a very, very common thing in the western districts of the state of this particular, Meghalaya. And then they have done this particular extortion. So they used to carry out this extortion. They used to actually militant attacks used to be taken up. So ethnic tensions were there. So they used to trafficking of the drugs. Drug used to be there, cocaine, or we could say ganja, or whatever you say. So now this has been one such kind of thing. The complete state has been suffering because of it has become a major smuggling route between Bangladesh and India in particular. So this is the problem that we have with respect to the state of Meghalaya. Right? It is not very much affected, but it's just to have some basic idea, because these groups are not high active as that of. Slide not clear? So it's with respect to the internet issue, I guess. Yasmin, on your side, I request you to refresh the section once. Okay. So right. So we'll move to the next one, the state of Tripura. We'll move to the next one, that is the state of Tripura. So the state of Tripura has found lot of activities of the terror activities later on in the year 1990s. So what happened here? So the area under the control of Tripura tribal area, autonomous district council, it has been increased. Right? So now here what happened, the area that they have under the Tripura tribal areas, autonomous district council has been increased. So what happened here? What do they need? So specifically, when you talk about this particular thing, they have reached out to an agreement between the center, state, and this particular district council. So what do they need here? See, the state of Tripura has also seen some kind of issues with respect to the insurgency too. So, but they used to carry out a lot of activities that were present in the state of Tripura. But as it went further, after 2003, you do not find much of this. So there is a group called Tripura Upajati Juba Samiti. This group was formed in the year 1971. So this particular group has been formed in the year 1971. The insurgency in the state of Tripura has been started by this particular group. What do you call? This is Tripura Upajati Juba Samiti in 1971. So as this is the first group that has been started, as we went further in the state of Tripura, so that has seen many such kind of groups have also been formed. For example, Tripura National Volunteers in 1981, National Liberation Front of Tripura 1989. I think very many people know this particular group. NLFT. NLFT is very, very famous, right? So now, why this is very famous? Because they want to go out of India and form a separate country. That would be independent Tripuri state they want to form. So they are the one who came across with the secession demand here once again. And now, you know what? Tripura was earlier a kingdom. So now, what happened is this. These people have stated that the kingdom of Tripura merger with the Indian Union is not proper. It is not correct. So they have specifically focused on this particular area and demanded that we want a sovereignty for this particular state of Tripura. And now it is one side of the coin, by the way. The other side is this. Any illegal immigrants that are present in the state, they want them to be deported. And moreover, they want all the land of the tribal has to be restored back to them. So this is what they have been asking. And now, as the demand for these people is actually too much high, so between the years from 1990 to 1995, the insurgency was not that much. So the groups were started much before, but when you come to this years between 90 to 95, the insurgency was not that much, but again, it has increased from 96 to 2004. And why? The insurgency in the state of Tripura has been increasing. There is some reason for that. See, when you compare with the northeastern states with other parts of a country, the important point that we have to remember is this. The area, the geography of the northeastern states is very, very different when you compare that with that of the other parts of a country. So, this particular terrain, this particular geography in the northeastern states, specifically in Tripura, is something which is actually has been a very, very, very favorite, what do you say? We could say, it's the best area. It is a trait that it is actually a kind of, asset. It actually has become an asset for this particular insurgents. And moreover, the border with Bangladesh has been very porous. That's also other problem. So now what happens? These people used to do some attacks here. They used to go to Bangladesh and stay there. And they also used to get some logistical support. In one or other way, they have seen, Tripura has seen the worst days. The complete common people's life has been impacted. The education institutions were closed. Financial institutions have been closed. In one or other way, these groups were partially successful in Tripura to undermine the authority of the state in particular. But however, as we moved further, the new governments which have been created has tried their best to come across with the various confidence building measures where they have improved this particular development. They have taken up the civic action programs, made the people part of different programs that the government has been taking up, created the awareness. They have tried their best to seed out this particular area of the militancy in the state of Tripura, and finally insurgency has been completely gone out of this particular state, and Tripura has in one or other way won over the insurgency in particular. So these states are very small, but as we move further, we will have a great discussion on Assam in particular, and after that Assam will be talking about the Bodoland issue today. Bodoland issue will be discussing, and after the Bodoland issue, you must have also heard about this Karbi Anglong issue, so we'll be talking about that. This will remain the important topics for the discussion today, right? So it is just to have some basic understanding, no one is going to ask you specifically about discuss insurgency in the northeastern, especially in Tripura or something like that, but it's very important that you know the ground reality about how the groups have been active in these states. That's a major reason why we are discussing. Okay, right. So moving further now, moving further. So Arunachal Pradesh. So one of the biggest issue that we actually have, one of the biggest issue that we actually have in Arunachal Pradesh is very well known that China actually says some kind of issue, right? That is a one side of the coin. But now, when you look into this particular group, guys, do you remember yesterday when I was talking about the NSCN, the Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland, I said you there are two groups, right? So within the NSCN, can anyone tell me NSCN, two groups? About the two groups, yes, what are the names? One is Keplang, another one is Isaac Muvaya. Okay, that's right, Ashutosh. So we have two groups, one is NSCN Cape and NSCN IM. So when you talk about these particular groups, I said you that these groups started fighting each other. So now these groups did not just stay in the states of this Nagaland, but actually spread among other states. So basically you have the presence of Nagas in the state of Arunachal Pradesh also, by the way. So now the two factions of the NSCN has a greater influence in about 3 districts of Arunachal Pradesh. Here the two factions of NSCN has a greater influence in 3 districts of Arunachal Pradesh, and they have been carrying out their activities, like they keep on doing this extortion, kidnapping, factions and all. So specifically what are the 3 districts? They are Tirap, Changlang and Longding. So these are the 3 districts, Tirap, Changlang and Longding. These are the 3 districts where the NSCN has some kind of a influence over them. Now it is not just the NSCN which is actually here, but there is another group called Ulfa. Yes, can anyone guess to which state this Ulfa belongs to? Anyone? Any guesses for that? To which state this Ulfa belongs to? The group called ULFA. Any guesses? I'm asking you to guess, okay? If I'm asking you to guess, you can say anything, whatever that comes to your mind. Yes, that's right. This particular group belongs to Assam. This particular group belongs to Assam. Yes, that's right, Ashutosh. So Ulfa is a group which belongs to Assam, which has caused some kind of issue in the state of Assam. We'll be discussing that going forward too. But however, this group of Ulfa also has some kind of presence in certain districts. So for example, they have their influence in Lohit, Tirap and Changlang districts. So what happens here in Arunachal Pradesh basically, so now they have been infiltrating into Myanmar. So basically Myanmar has, in Myanmar, these groups of Ulfa actually have most of these particular base camps in Myanmar. So they have been using this Arunachal Pradesh actually in this particular matter, and they also have been using this Arunachal Pradesh to infiltrate to Myanmar too. So the other biggest problem that we have, so Harshita, you said Andhra. Ulfa belongs to Andhra. Is that what you mean, Harshita? So now the concern is this, that there's a presence of the CPI Maoist cadres also. So now there has been a greater presence of about 53,000 strong Chakma and Hangjong refugees in Arunachal Pradesh. In Arunachal Pradesh, we have the refugees. We call them as Chakma groups and Hajong refugees. So these two groups of refugees, basically, one second. So basically these two groups of refugees called Chakma and Hajong refugees, they actually stay in Arunachal Pradesh, and apart from that, there also has been some kind of influx of the foreigners also into the state of Arunachal Pradesh. See, let's say that we all are living in a city. Let's say that city has 1 lakh population. Okay, the city has 1 lakh population, and if there are about 50,000 plus refugees, and now there are other foreigners coming up, will the people of the city be happy? Will the people of the city will be happy? Definitely not. They will lose much of their opportunities. So there has been a local issues have been developed. The people in the localities have been very critical about this particular area. And now the Arunachal Pradesh Students Union, this says that there has been a presence of the refugees from Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan and Tibet. So this is the first thing that is happening, is this a growing unrest. A growing unrest in the minds of the people of this particular area. That is number one. Then we have the clashes between the two groups, like when we have two of these particular divisions present in the same area, they fight each other. So that remains a second problem here. And now the other important thing is this: Arunachal Pradesh has been used as a transit route. That is, the state of Arunachal Pradesh has been used by the Ulfa people, especially to go to Myanmar where the camps are located. So now, this particular movement of these people have been found in the easternmost districts of Assam and Myanmar also. And now, what happened? These people have set up the safe houses in Manabhum Reserve Forest, which is present over 1500 square kilometers in Lohit district. It's very tough. One of the greatest thing is this: when you talk about certain kind of areas, to get into those areas, like, especially the forest, it's really very tough to maintain that particular things. So that is a problem we have. So this is how Arunachal Pradesh has been used by variety of the groups. So though they do not have the local groups, but the other groups have been using them. But the only concern they have is this, about the presence of these particular people. Okay, so that is it. So now we'll start with the very important state for the discussion today. That would be the state of Assam. Right. So before we go ahead, I'll just have some water. So any doubts still here? Yes. Okay, right. So then I'll go on. So moving on to the next state, that is Assam. So if you look into the northeastern region in particular, the first and the foremost group that we have to tackle is with the state of Nagaland, and the second most volatile region in the northeastern state is Assam. The second most volatile region in the northeastern state is Assam. And we all know, yes, about Assam Accord and all. Like, all Assam Students Union have taken up the movement and everything. So we'll discuss that also anyways. So now, in the year of 1979, the indigenous people of Assam have been demanding that the illegal immigrants from Bangladesh has to be detected and deported. So there has been a huge influx of the Bangladeshis into Assam. So now the people, the local people specifically, under the leadership of All Assam Students Union, they started their protest non-violently with just satyagraha and boycotts. So what happened here? The people were not very much interested in actually looking after the elections. So the people were opposing the elections, but the government has conducted the elections in the year 1983. So after the government has conducted the elections in the year 1983, which was opposed by this particular leaders of All Assam Student Union. So that has led for a greatest problem, which has created a widespread violence in this. So a violence has been started in this movement. However, this movement has been ended only in the year 1985, after the All Assam Students Union has signed an agreement with the government of India, which we call popularly as Assam Accord. Right, this is the story that we have to know before we go ahead. So what did this particular say? What did it say particularly? It said that anyone entered the state between 1966 to 1971, they are allowed to remain with no voting rights for 10 years. But why specifically 1971, guys? Can anyone tell me what could be the reason? The reason behind why 1971? Between 1966 to 1971. Why only 1971? There should be some reason for that. Yes, I'm waiting to know from you. Yes, that's true. So now you are right. So it is because of the liberation of Bangladesh, we could say. So now those people, it stated the primary agreement said that people entering between 1966 to 97 can remain, but they should not be given voting rights for 10 years, and who entered after 1971, they have to be expelled from this particular state. But an amendment has been made in the year 1985. So now to the Indian citizenship law. What is the Indian citizenship law made? The Indian citizenship law stated very clearly that non-citizens entered Assam between 1961 to 71 will have all the rights except the voting rights for 10 years. So this is the amendment which we also have made to the Indian citizenship law. But guys, are there any other things that we have to talk about this particular Assam Accord? Just tell me. Tell me the point. This remains a very important point, that people who have entered between these particular time of 1966 to 71, they will not have voting rights. So entered after 1971, they should be deported, and before 1966, they say they can be given the citizenship. Isn't it? This is what the state. And now, many organizations in the state of Assam have been asking for the independence of Assam. And one of the most prominent group is called ULFA, that is United Liberation Front of Assam. Remember, some time ago we have discussed their presence in Arunachal Pradesh. So this is a group which has been asking for independence of Assam as a separate country, and this was formed in the year 1979. And what are their demands? What are their goals? If you look into these goals of these particular people, they say that they want independence of Assam, number one. They want independence of Assam. And number two would be this, that is establishment of a socialist government. So these are the two important goals that are present between this group of ULFA. Number one is independence of Assam, and number two is this establishment of a socialist government. So these are the things that they have stated. So now government will not listen to them. Why would the government listen to them? So they have started launching the terrorist attacks against us. So they have targeted the non-combatants, people who are not fighting in the war. They have targeted the Indian military. They have assassinated many of the political leaders, the opponents, attacked the police, security forces, the railway tracks, infrastructure, all of these. They have literally become a terrorist group, I would say. They have taken the path chosen by this particular people of the Maoists and others. And moreover, it is not just here. If the group is alone, that would be one case. But this group started developing the links between the other two groups. So what is this group? ULFA we are talking about. So they started developing the links with the Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland, and they also had links with the Maoists. So this would cause a great problem again, right? So now what happened? These particular people have been carrying out their operations by staying from Bhutan also. And moreover, they used to use this Myanmar as also some kind of a base camp. And you know what? Initially, they were specifically focused on this Bhutan area, and now they used to carry out their operations from Bhutan. So the government was very much critical about the way they are doing it, and now all of these groups have been banned, and Assam has been declared as a troubled area. Yes, we know what happens when a state is declared as a troubled area, isn't it? Yes, what would happen, guys? If a state has been declared as a troubled area, what would be the result of it? Immediately, that would be AFSPA, right? When a state or any area is declared as a trouble area, that we will actually doing is this, implement AFSPA. So now, Bhutan has been very cooperative to India about the way the things are going on. So now, Bhutan also carried out the operations to drive out these particular ULFA terrorists, especially from its own territory also. And we have done many kind of attacks. Bhutan was successful. They have killed thousands of these insurgents, and many of them have been extradited to India also. And now, the central government has given a special administrative autonomy to Bodos in the state. So within the state of Assam, they have given some special administrative authority to this particular people of Bodos. And now, the Bodos here is the other problem that we have in Assam, where they say that we don't want autonomy. What we need is a separate Bodo land. What we need is a separate Bodo land. Here starts another issue in Assam. If you look into the state of Nagaland, there was only one issue. If I'm not wrong, there was only one issue called Nagalim. Right? But here, on one perspective, we have this particular issue, and now we have NRC also, by the way, to the Assam. Right? We have the issue of NRC to the Assam too. So now, this particular thing has created some kind of a clashes between the Bengalis who are living in the state of Assam, the Bodos and the military. So what is this particular issue of the Bodo land? See, when you talk about the state of Assam, we have the group called Bodos. So Bodos are the largest plain tribes living in the state of Assam, and they have started the armed struggle for a separate state in the mid-1980s. And you know what? These people, in the name of armed struggle, have been doing the ethnic cleansing of non-Bodos. Those people who are non-Bodos, who are living in the north bank of Brahmaputra, they started killing these people. So, the government has tried their best and signed an accord called Bodoland Autonomous Council Accord in 1993. So, in this way, government wants to end this Bodo movement that is happening. So, here what happened now? Here what happened is this. The Bodos are opposing this. So, non-Bodos are opposing this. The non-Bodos includes the Bengali people. So, the Bengali people who is actually, the Bengali speaking Muslims, we could say. So, these people who have come from Bangladesh, residing in this particular area, so these are the non-Bodos have opposing this. And definitely they have some concern here. What is their concern? It is actually we, the non-Bodos, who have seen this kind of killings. Our people have been killed. We are extorted. Assaults have been carried out against us. We are intimidated. We are abducted. And now you give this particular authority to them. So this is what the non-Bodos have been alleging. So definitely that is a point to be taken into consideration. There is no doubt about it. But the issue of the Bodos and non-Bodos is not something which has been started very recently. It is an ancient rivalry, we could say. So there are Bodo tribes who have been settled on northern bank of Brahmaputra, that is eastern side of Brahmaputra on the northern bank. And now there are the people who are Bengali speaking immigrants. And the Bodos, they speak their own language, whereas these Bengalis have migrated from Bangladesh. And you know what? These particular people who are actually the Bengali speaking people have come to this region. They have a greater agricultural skills. So what happened now? See, let's take two people called A and B. Give each of them 1 lakh rupees. Okay. So when you give each of them 1 lakh rupees and ask them, so you have to settle you in your life with respect to this amount only. So what happens? Who can settle well? Those people who have got some good skills can actually settle. So here, what happened here in this particular case is this. These people have some agricultural skills, right? So these people were able to settle well, and slowly they have purchased the land of these Bodos. Okay, they have purchased the land of these Bodos. And now, so the Bodos started that we want a state. And we do not want the non-Bodos with us. So after much of these particular things, a territorial council, Bodoland Territorial Council has been created. So especially after that, now non-Bodos would not be happy. So this has made the non-Bodos to actually protest again. So they have made the non-Bodos to protest again. As I said earlier, that Bodoland Territorial Council has been created. So after the agreement in 2003, this stated very clearly that we would safeguard the Bodo language, the land of the Bodos, the socio-cultural rights of the Bodos, and ethnic identity. And as per the accord, it says very clearly that an autonomous self-governing body would be constituted, that would be the Bodoland Territorial Council, where that would be created within Assam. Within Assam, that would be created, where they would be provided with the economic, educational, and linguistic aspirations. And their rights or land rights would be protected, the socio-cultural rights and ethnic identity of Bodos has to be protected. In spite of that, the Bodos were not happy. They have been feeling insecure about their land, ethnic identity and language. And here comes other problem, guys. So when you look into the area that is falling under the Bodoland Territorial Council, so they call them as Bodoland Territorial Area District. But when you look into this council has 70% of non-Bodos people. The area that we have, it consists of 70% of non-Bodo people. So now, when there are 70% of non-Bodo people are opposing, so these people have been opposing that, they are not satisfied with the creation of something like this. And now, these people have been demanding that you have to cancel those villages from this area where you have less than 50% of Bodo people from this. Just take a village. In that village, just see if the Bodo people are maximum or not. if the village consists of less than 50% of Bodo people, remove that area from this particular district. Got the point? Is it clear till now? If it is confusing, let me know please. I hope that is clear. Okay, very good. Yes. So when you look into this particular area of Bodoland Territorial Administrative District, so it is continuation of 4 districts where we call them as Kokrajhar, Baksa, Udalguri and Chirang. So as part of that, when the territorial council has been created, the infrastructure projects have been increased. So now this council will consist of 40 elected representatives, and now Assam government would nominate 6 more people. And now 30 seats would be reserved for the tribals, 4 would be reserved for the non-tribals, and remaining 5 are open for the general elections. So this is how they'll be dividing the seats. But here comes another group. You must have seen in the news very recently that the government has actually increased the ban on this particular group called NDFB, the National Democratic Front of Bodoland, for 5 more years. Has anyone seen this in the news? Recent news it is. The government has actually increased the ban on this particular group for 5 more years. Anyone heard this news? It is very much in the news. Recently it is in the news. Okay. Yes. So now what is this particular group? So it's very clear. It's a separatist group. So what do they want? They want a sovereign Bodo land for the Bodo people in Assam. So this organization was termed as a terrorist organization. It was created in the year 1998. And they say that we are the representatives of the Bodo people, which consists of 10% of the population in Assam is the Bodos. And they have some issues. What are the issues? They say they have underdevelopment in their region. Immigrants are coming up a lot. See, for any issue that we have, we can actually solve that with the discussions. But these people have thought that if you want to address the issues that are being faced by the people of this country, so this region, they say we have to go out of India and establish a sovereign Bodo land. Only then we could actually solve our problems. So they are attacking these people, especially in Assam. They have specifically targeted the non-Bodos in particular. Okay, that is about this NDFB. Nothing much to be read. So under this particular group, we have various leaders who actually have been stating for Bodo land all. There are certain group of people who says that divide Assam 50-50. This is such kind of a calls have also been given by the prominent leaders of the NDFB too. Right? That is about this. So moving on to the next one, that is Karbi Anglong. The Karbi Anglong issue. So there's a district called Karbi Anglong in the state of Assam, which is a part of a largest one in the 27 administrative districts of Assam. And now the district administrative headquarters is present in a place called Diphu. So what is this particular thing? The Karbi Anglong, if you see in the entire country, we have 250 most backward districts. And this is one among those particular districts. And also, if you take the districts in Assam, it says that of the 11 districts which have been receiving the funds from the central government, especially from the backward regions grant fund program, this is one among them. So which makes it very clear by now that this is one of the very this is one of the very undeveloped district that we have in the state of Assam. So now a large number of indigenous people have been residing in this district. So the most of the common people are Karbis. That's what we call Karbi Anglong, right? So they are the Karbis basically. And apart from that, you also find other indigenous people also, which includes the Dimasas, Ringmas, Kukis, Garos, Tivas, Khasis, Hmars, Mizos and Chakmas. So how many of you heard at least few groups? So just comment in here. So which groups you know? In these groups, how many of you heard which names? Do comment here. So do let me know which groups you have heard till now. Which groups are very, very prominent, which groups are very, very easier for you to remember. Like, you must have heard these groups at least one or other time. So which groups you have heard about? So I'm sure you must have heard about Rengmas, you must have heard about Kukis, you must have heard about Garos, you must have heard about Khasis, Chakmas and Mizos. These are the very, very prominent groups which you often hear in the news. So other groups though they are very less in the news, but these are the groups which are very very common in this in this particular news. So moving further, so what happened here is this: clashes have been erupted between the ethnic insurgent group called Karbi People's Liberation Tigers and Rengma Naga Hills Protection Force. There are two groups we have. So one of this particular group is the Karbi People's Liberation Tigers and Rengma Naga Hills Protection Force. So both of these have been fighting, and about 3,000 people from Karbi and Rengma Naga tribes have forced to leave their homes. And now this particular group called KPLT, the Karbi People's Liberation Tigers, they say that they are a breakaway faction of other group we have called Karbi Longri NC Hills Liberation Front. There's a group that is present prior to them called Karbi Longri NC Liberation Front. So this particular group has been demanding a separate state for the two hill districts. Guys, if you are seeing here, they want a separate state for two hill districts. One is Karbi Anglong, other one is Dima Hasao. So this is specifically because these districts have majority of the Karbi people. So this group is asking for a separate states for them. So now they have started in the talks with respect to the central and state government, and they have signed this particular suspension of agreement, basically suspension of operation agreement with the center and the state governments, and about 20 cadres have been formed. About 20 cadres have left to this particular group, and actually they have formed the KPLT in the year 2010 after they have signed this particular agreement. Then when you talk about this other group we have, Rengma Naga Hill Protection Force, it was formed in 2012. One of the very interesting point you have to remember about this Rengma group is this: they are not actually violent. This group has been created specifically to prevent the attacks that are happening against their people from the KPLT. So that's why what have they asked is this: they wanted a separate regional council for the Rengma Nagas of Karbi Anglong. So this is about the Karbi Anglong issue we have. So if you remember, we have discussed about the Bodoland, we have discussed about the Karbi Anglong. If you can see and understand, Assam is very volatile basically when you compare that with that of Nagaland. I feel like Assam is a very volatile region. I hope that is clear till now. Then so we'll wind up here and we'll understand. Now we'll not focus on the states, but rather we'll now start discussing about what could be the reasons why the insurgency is present in the northeastern states. One of the most important reason is this: feeling of alienation and deprivation among the tribal population. See, when there is a growing unrest in the northeastern people, whose responsibility is it? Guys, whose responsibility is it that the people of northeastern states feel alienated? Who is the responsible person for that? Who should be made responsible for this? Who should be made responsible for that? When the people are feeling alienated. Okay? Someone says central. No one? How can no one be responsible for some issue? Yes? I could see 11 people online. Yes? So do let me know. Government. Which government you meant? So basically, on one side, it is the government. On other side, it is the people. And people like you, me and everyone. People like you, me and everyone. Yes, we have to. See, we have this habit in the entire part of a country. Let me be very, very honest today. We have this habit in the entire country. If you find some northeastern person, there is a term that people often use it, which should not be used by the way. People often use this particular word against them. And when you find a northeastern people around us, for example, let's say there are 10 people in the group, now they are present in some city, and people at least stare for 1 to 2 seconds against this particular people who are northeast. Isn't it? Definitely everyone will do this. They stare at those particular people at least for seconds, few seconds they actually do it. And every person call them with a different name, saying that they are not even Indians. So this is something which is the responsibility of every person. And this kind of small things, You may think that this is a small issue. But if everyone calls them in a similar fashion, if everyone treat them in a separate manner, obviously they would hate the country. Right? Definitely everyone, no one will like it, right? Wherever you go, if the country looks you with a different perspective, why would you be happy in a country? Right? Whatever the country is, for example, say yourself as an example. Wherever you go, if the people look at you with a different perspective, definitely you will not be happy in living such a country. And they feel alienated for that. And now on the other side, as we do not have much of the seats in the northeastern states, the successive governments have been ignoring the northeastern development. There is no doubt about it. Yes, everyone here would agree that the governments have been treating them in a different perspective. For example, let me tell you the political thing, how it happens. So in the constitution, there is no specific method about the removal of a governor, by the way. If you know this, in the constitution there is no method for the removal of a governor. So what they do, these particular people, the government, the center specifically say with the President of India, they will ask the governors to resign. And if they don't, they will transfer them to the northeastern states. It's really pathetic, yes. They treat this as a kind of such a thing where people will not be happy. This as a tool has been used by the government specifically to make these people resign. The case is with respect to, you could say, there was a case basically Sheila Dikshit, for example. If you see, she was a governor of Kerala, if I'm not wrong. She was a governor of Kerala. And when the new government came into power in 2014, they asked her to resign. And she said, no, I'm not going to resign. And they immediately transferred her to the northeastern states. And yes, you are right, Rishabh, Ulfa and NSC and 2. But yes, so they have come out of this because of certain issues which are happening with us, right? So that remains other problem. So that is number one. The feeling of insecurity, feeling of alienation, deprivation among the tribal population remains a major problem here. Moving on to the number two. The ethnicity that we have, similar ethnicity is present along the border of the Myanmar side. So what happens now, it is very tough to actually identify the people. And number three, the porous borders with respect to the Myanmar border, which they have a difficult terrain. Yes, that's the thing. Then the fourth one is disconnect with other parts of India. It's the problem we have. The biggest problem is this. Like the government has started, for example, like Northeast Industrial Development Scheme. I think we had a discussion about it in the special classes on Unacademy. I said you many times that how you are actually planning for that, and that is not happening here. Right? So this sort of things are happening. And number five, the corruption. There is no proper visionary leadership. Number six. Easy availability of arms and ammunitions. Political support is being given from other groups. So these are the various reasons we are having. But what did the government do? Yes, government is definitely something which is to be questioned. So government cannot go violently here, but government has done something. That is, they have started peace talks. The first thing they have done is government has started the peace talks. There is no doubt about it. Right? Government started it. And now, and they also, but we cannot sit on the name of peace talks all the time. If they say specifically that they want a peace talk, we'll go there. And if they are not agreeing to that, and if they continue to carry out the violent activities, government cannot sit in the name of peace to actually talk to them. Right? That will not be a proper answer for us. So we have to deal with them in the violent activities too. There's no doubt about it. So government has tried to sign the ceasefire agreement with many groups, and also signed the suspension of operations also with many groups. Yes, they also have brought some special schemes for the development of the area. Infrastructure development is happening now. Dialogues and negotiations are going on. A political autonomy is being given to them. A decentralization is being happening. Tribal rights are being protected. And now we actually have got the Act East policy. In the name of Act East policy, for India is now focusing on the northeastern states, and through northeastern states we are looking after the ASEAN, sir. Right? This is what is happening. These are the things that have been taken up by the government. But still, there is some issue that are going on here. There's no doubt that the northeastern states have seen the discrimination. There is no doubt about it, and everyone is ready to agree with this, isn't it? Is there anyone who don't agree that the northeastern states have seen the discrimination from the central government for the past many years? Yes, the development was not up to the mark. The development was not up to the mark. However, there has been a change in the recent years, though I agree with that, Harshita. But still, the governments had to do much. They have literally continued the same principle and same policy that was taken up by the Britishers, I feel. Isn't it? Right. So moving further, with the next one, what about the foreign links? Do we have any kind of linkage with other countries? Yes, we have. The biggest linkage is with Myanmar. The biggest linkage is with Myanmar. And the states such as Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram. So the terrain in these particular states have been very, very different. And it is not just about this particular states. We also have a geographical linkage with this. So when the geographical linkage is present, there has been a greater ethnic issues have been there. The population on both sides of the border has been having some ethnic linkages too. So this has made it much easier for the movement of the people, for recruiting the people and for the supply of the arms too. So basically, where do they get arms from? So they get this arms especially from Thailand, and that is being brought into these 4 states of Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram. And now, when you talk the diplomatic perspective, the Myanmar has already signed a ceasefire agreement with the NSCN-K group and gave deadline to many insurgent groups also. And Bangladesh has also pushed out many insurgent groups which are present over there. So now, the government of Sheikh Hasina, basically, who is the current Prime Minister of Bangladesh, they are very much supportive of India in this. They are very much supportive of India in this. But there has been a presence of the insurgent groups in the this particular area of Bangladesh also. And they did not allow the Indian insurgent groups to be present in Bangladesh and arrested many of these groups. And it is not just the Myanmar and Bangladesh. Even Nepal has also been used as a hideout, and now Nepal has been used as a country through which they are actually going to China. The airport of Kathmandu has been used as a transit point for them. And Bhutan has also been used by many of these Assam-based groups, especially Ulfa. So this is how this particular thing. So there is no doubt that the people of the northeastern states have been feeling of aliens. They have a feeling that they are being treated in a different perspective. The culture is not promoted up to the mark. But still, we read their culture. It's because, why do we read their culture? So the thing is, why do we require the culture to study now? Because you have the art and culture. It's not that you are interested for the northeastern culture, but you have the topic of art and culture in the UPSC. That's the reason why you study this. Isn't it? But still, the culture of northeastern states is very different. And now what happens? These people have often been compared with the Chinese and other communities. Definitely no one will be happy. You must have seen, that to make them too much violent is started by the Britishers. Yes, of course we could say, the thing is, the other parts of a country, the way they are treated and the northeastern states are treated is very different. And the initiation for this particular things has been started right from the Britishers. You are right about it. You are right from that. Okay, so that is about it. So you want me to talk about this Rohingyas also? Last topic would be Rohingyas. I don't think Rohingyas. It's okay if you want me to talk. I can finish this in the next 5 minutes. We'll finish this. Yes? We have about 5 minutes for this discussion to be taken up. Okay, right? So coming to the Rohingya refugees we are talking about. So these people are from the North Rakhine state of Myanmar, where the population of these people is about 8 to 9 lakh people. And now they are not recognized as citizens by the country of Myanmar because of the domination of the Buddhist people basically. So what happened here is that these particular people have faced the persecution not just in Myanmar but even in Bangladesh and Thailand too. But majority of the Rohingyas are found in Myanmar. And basically, what is the reason? There could be some reason why they don't recognize them as citizens. The reason is this. So there has been a hypothesis, there has been accusation that these Rohingyas are not basically from this particular area of Myanmar itself, but the Myanmar says that they are basically from Bangladesh. This is what Myanmar says. So Bangladesh has denied that we do not want to take these Rohingyas back. One of the reasons is this: we are already overpopulated. The economy is already suffering, and that would be a burden to us. And we are not going to accept that that the hypothesis is something called Bangladeshi origin, and they are already sheltering about 3 lakh Rohingyas. So these are the reasons why Bangladesh says that I don't want to take them. So how this all has started basically? See, you must have studied about exodus of Kashmiri Pandits similarly. So exodus of Rohingya is also a very interesting thing. See, in this North Rakhine state, there has been an ethnic conflict has started between the Buddhist and Rohingyas in 2013, which has resulted in death of 80 people in 2013. And after that, about 20,000 people have been displaced, thousands of homes have been completely burnt. And this displacement has further led to, yes, that's right, Rishabh. This displacement has further led to, majority of other people also, about 1 lakh people have been increased. And this Rohingyas, after the issue has happened, they were made very clear that they are not supposed to leave their camps. They are not supposed to leave their settlements. So what happened now? On one side, they said they are not supposed to leave the settlements, right? On other side, the Buddhists actually in this particular Myanmar region have said very clear that no one from this particular area should do any kind of a trade with this particular Rohingya Muslims. So this is what they have stated. So when they cannot do any trade, it is really very tough. So in this way, the people have actually started fighting with each other. And that has led to a massive issues where the army, basically Myanmari army, has also been involved in this area, and they have been specifically targeting the Rohingyas in particular. And the United Nations also described them as the world's most persecuted minorities. But for the past few years, if you can see, there is a presence of Rohingyas in India now. So the number of Rohingyas who are coming to India has also been increasing, and these people are taking the shelters in those areas where there is a area which is dominated by the Muslim population. For example, we have certain areas in different parts of a country, like in Hyderabad, in UP, in Jammu and Kashmir. So in such areas, they have been residing here. So now, India definitely raised some kind of security concerns. Just in the year 2013, it is believed that about 30,000 to 40,000 people have been infiltrated to India using Bangladesh as a transit route. And here comes the other problem. That is the groups, the terror groups we already have, like Lashkar-e-Taiba. So these particular groups have actually instigated the Rohingyas to say that you have been a result of a sectarian violence. You have been targeted. So the terror groups have been specifically instigating them. And Bangladesh has stated that this is happening, so be careful. And there are some instances where Lashkar-e-Taiba must have recruited some kind of Rohingyas to take a revenge against the Buddhists through the terror acts. And the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jamaat-ud-Dawa has already set up an outfit called Difa-e-Musalman Arakan, that is in Burma basically. So now where they stated that we will be assigning you to some kind of Islamic organizations basically in Myanmar and Bangladesh. And they have been receiving funds from some particular areas like Saudi Arabia. Weapons have been coming from Thailand. So anyways, these things are happening with the Rohingyas. And Lashkar-e-Taiba's, everyone knows Hafid Saeed, who has become a very, very prominent person. He stated that India has assisted the Myanmar in the persecution of Rohingyas. This is what the statement has been made by this particular person too. But however, India has rejected this proposal. India has been very, very liberal to all the communities, and it is a diverse community. And India has nothing to do with any particular group. Right? So with this, we will end the discussion on the insurgency in the Northeast with today. Right? So going forward, if there is any update with respect to the sessions that we'll be taking, I'll update you here. I'll update in the Telegram group also, and moreover, we'll be taking some special classes to going forward. So that's all for today. Now, if anyone has any doubt, now you can ask me. Yes. If you do not have any doubt, now we'll be ending the session. So you can see under the scrolling, right? Do check out the Unacademy Plus, guys. You actually have many top educators taking different lessons, and you can use the code which is in the scrolling to use the discount, to use for the discount also, right? And the ID which has been stated is also my Telegram ID. Yes. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. See you all again on tomorrow. Most probably I'll update you about that. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye bye.